Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 27th. Hey, we got our usual crowd today. We've got Josh, Lee, Tom, and Gentry. We're going to talk to them about fishing in their area. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. We're checking in with our good friend Tom Ott, the master of the night fishing at Guntersville. Tom, what are the creatures of the night up to these days?
Well, I think right now, Dano, they're sleeping. Is we've just had so much weather here. We've had a lot of rain, and heavy rain, whether and then some light rain, some good soaking rains. Everybody needed it, of course. But, what it's really done for the fish is, I guess it's just kind of oxygenated the water. We've gotten some cooler nights. These fish are really on the move, and made some of those fish really scatter out a good bit. But, for the fishermen, what that means is that you don't have to fight for a spot on the ledge or any of that kind of stuff. You can get out there and start doing some of the things that you would typically do, late summer or even maybe even early spring, with the exception of the schooling activity that we've seen. So, there's a lot of schooling activity. All this oxygen's kind of brought the fish up, moving around, but there's some large fish that you can still catch in the grass. Obviously, there's still some on the ledges, but I do think that they've started to make that venture into some of those areas where they can stay comfortable for a longer period of time and still feed. And that's not saying that it's not going to change back, when it turns back to summer, but for this time of the year to be as cool as it is, it's really made a change for the fish. And if you were finding fish 2 weeks ago in certain areas, 20 foot deep, I think you're going to have to move around a little bit to catch those fish in a little bit shallower type areas. So
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
this is the time of the year when this kind of stuff goes on. It's time to get moving. It's time to throw some moving baits. You don't necessarily have to sit there and shake something in front of their faces to get a bite, because they're going to be chasing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the great time for those chatterbaits, spinner baits, anything that looks like a small, a fleeting fish. I still like the chatterbait, kind of the brim pattern right now is still working really well with a gold blade is my deal. But, that's really catching some fish. I like a spinner bait. Always have a top water on. And if you got something that you can throw a real long way as far as a top water, I like a whopper plopper, a small one. If you want to go after the bigger fish, throw the real big whopper plopper. But those fish, when they come up quick, and then they're gone again. So just always be ready with that top water bait out there. That's a great way to just put a few in the boat, especially in the middle of the day, and they just pop up next to you and start jumping around. But, it's just it's a better, I think the fish are in a little bit better mood as far as chasing right now. You don't have to sit there, like you said, and just dangle. Dangle your bait in their face and try to elicit a bite. They're on the move a little bit.
Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're joined by the man, the myth, the Lee Pitts from Weiss Lake. Lee, what's going on Weiss Lake this week?
Weiss is fishing pretty much the same as it was last week. We've had a little more rain and thank goodness some cooler weather. So that water temperature's dropped down in the mid 80s right now, 85, if you get a little sunshine. So it's helping. We've still got a pretty good shallow bite. It's all depending on if that sun just comes blaring down, they're going to hook up underneath these docks. The dock flipping has been something that's good right now. And even a grass bite, they let the water come back up a little bit, so that looking for that thicker grass and some grass that may be closer to the river or some deeper water has been holding fish. And then if you get midday kind of rain shower, something like that, cloud cover, a little bit of wind, you can jump back in that shallow water. I know some guys caught some fish on a spinnerbait early this last week. I tried to force a frog on them. Couldn't get them to come up and hit top water a lot this week, but you could punch or flip some kind of plastics in there and they would eat it. They just didn't want to exert a lot of energy to come up there and bust that surface.
Well, I noticed a lot of times that topwater bite, especially a frog around the grass, man, when that weather dips, that's the first thing that disappears is that bite. And even if they do come up, it's just kind of a swirl underneath it. So sometimes you do have to go in after them. All right, let's turn our attention to Neely Henry, our home lake down here on the Coosa River. What's going on at Neely? What are you hearing out of here?
Neely's fishing about the same too. You know, we've been kind of consistent the last 2 weeks. Our weather patterns have kind of held a little more. Neely's getting a little more water flow than what we're doing. It being just a main river system, you know, you got some natural current that's going to come through there, even if they're not pulling a little bit of wind or something to do some water. And I think that's helping that oxygen level's a little bit better there. The dock bite has been real good, but still that batting off that river, throwing at some of the breaks and the mouths of these little creeks or the tributaries that come into it, and also looking for those stumps out there in that 6, 7, 8 foot of water has been real good for these spots. I think the shaky head bite, you know, something that you can throw out there and just aggravate them with it and let them come pick it up. I know a little ball jig has been good, something like a 5/16. You can still get good feel to it, but just kind of downsizing a little bit. That they're not really wanting to chase these big baits, but you can kind of, I'm saying finesse. It's not really finesse, but that shaky head with an 8-inch trick worm, something like that, a jig with a small chunk on it, maybe like fighting frog, a little bit of chunk junior, something like that, has been real good. And also when they do pull water, you can get some daylight when they're pulling that water, run up that river, fish those laydowns. You can get up there and make a day of it as long as you've got current.
Lee, as always, we appreciate it. And also congratulations to our Wes Logan, who won the BFL there a couple weeks ago. That's pretty cool. 16 pounds seems to be about the weight these days. Lee, we'll talk to you again soon, brother. Hey, we've connected here with Gentry Gordy, our man in the South. Going to talk a little bit of Lake Martin and some Jordan Lake. Gentry, let's start at Jordan. We seem to start at Martin all the time. Let's start at Jordan. What's going on down there?
All right. I talked to a friend of mine that's got a cabin up there, Dano, just because I hadn't had a chance to get up there. And man, he said it's tough. You know, boat traffic, seems like everybody's trying to get in the last few, you know, days they have before school starts back. He said the only real good fish he's catching is up the river, you know, when they pull in water. The good thing is we've gotten some rain, so hopefully we can get a little more water pulling.
Yep.
But, you know, just Damiki rigs and swim baits, just throwing it in the current and, you know, letting it, you know, just keep in contact with it while the current pushes it down. He also said that it's, you know, look for your schoolers. He said it's, you know, end of June, that's when it starts happening. He's seen it a little bit. You just got to have that walking bait ready because they're starting to push that bait to the top.
Oh, okay. I'm sure the striper are kind of joining them up there too. And they can probably find themselves mixed up with one of them big old line sides that seem to be prevalent in the Coosa River lately.
Yeah, well, if, you know, you just have fun fishing, hey, hard to beat.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, let's turn our attention to Lake Martin. I know that's going to be a little bit different, not as much current. What's going on there?
Yeah, you know, current, unless you know it well enough to go up underneath the trestle on the north end and run up that river, you know, current's never really an issue on Martin. It's too big. There is some fish being caught up that river, but, you know, you don't just run up there blind. You got to fish your way up there or go with somebody that knows what they're doing. But too, you're going to start, you know, your scullers, they start a little earlier to me on Martin than they do the Coosa River. So it's just a matter of keeping that walking bait tied on. And, you know, you can ride around and see them. You know, there's certain places, especially if you see, you know, your striper boats out there, your guide boats, they know where them bait are. They know where the stripers go. The spots will be with them, you know. I'm not pulling up on them, but just remember where they was. But, you know, other than, riding around just looking for that, you know, your Damiki rigs, and you can still catch them with your Carolina rigs and your big worms, you know, on your deeper spots. But to me, this time of year when they start schooling, I just say ride around, look for stuff I ain't never fished before, and wait for them to come up schooling.
Sounds like it could be a little bit of fun there living on top. Hey, Gentry, I appreciate everything, brother. Appreciate what you do, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we've got the always colorful Josh Heron joining us today. Josh, let's talk a little bit of Logan Martin before we hit on Lay Lake. What's going on?
Man, it seems like the fish are kind of getting a little bit shallower and shallower, which they traditionally do. They make that push kind of towards the end of the summer, and they'll kind of ease on back up there. And that seems to be where these fish are heading, I think. Not exactly sure, but that's my consensus of it. Yeah. Grass bite still sucks. I'm not real sure what's going on there, but it's a long way from good. Fish are showing up on some shallow docks, shallow wood, and man, right now you're just kind of at the beck and call of current. When it slacks off and it gets slick, it turns into a grind. And when they fire the water up in the afternoon, it seems to help a lot.
Yeah, it seems like you probably maybe a little top water early just because it's low light conditions and it's early. Then maybe a finesse type presentation or a finesse pitching kind of presentation around some dock posts and some wood, and then kind of go aggressive in the afternoon. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the best bites I've been getting have been like that hour or two right before dark. Seems to be like that's actually the most fun time to be on the lake right now. It's better than in the mornings. So, but yeah, no, we're just kind of in those the dog days right now. So you just kind of got to ride and grind it and take the phone when you can. But like I said, there's still a bunch of fish to get caught on Logan. There always is. They just seem to keep getting smaller.
All right, Lay Lake. We got about a minute left. Let's talk about Lay. Standing timber?
Always. It's one of my things I like down there. I think it's probably the most consistent bite on the lake, day in, day out, for the past 2 years. I love to grass fish. I would rather flip and swim a jig and throw a frog than anything else. But that place will hurt your feelings and burn you with that. It doesn't fish like it used to. So it seems like you got to be a lot more versatile now than in the past. But yeah, live scope fishing is king on that place. It seems like day in, day out. Like it.
Well, that'll do it, folks, for Bucks Island Area Fishing Report with Josh. We'll talk to you again next week. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, July the 27th. Thanks to the guys. They're always helping us put a few more fish in the boat, which is the key, and it's a lot of fun, and they help us do that. Hey, don't forget, folks, it's time to start thinking about Labor Day. We got to start thinking about that. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 8 to noon. We got the pontoon boats you're looking for. Of course, we got the bass boats. Come on by and see us here at Bucks Island. Of course, if you've got that boat of your dreams already, we'll help you keep it running with our parts department or our service department. And then, of course, we got the tackle you need upstairs in the loft. Thanks for spending the time with us. We appreciate you. You are the best part of Bucks Island. We look forward to seeing you.